Hello, I'm Sean Stumbaugh, Battalion Chief with Cosumnes Fire Department. Welcome to Module 2.1 of the Command Training Program, Multifamily Dwelling Fires. All right, so Command Training Program, Module 2.1, Multifamily Dwelling Fires. We're continuing to take some of the stuff that we learned in Module 1 and apply it to different types of buildings. So we're going to talk about that in detail. But first, we're going to listen to an incident that, I'll show you this right here. It's called El Mirador Command. And it's just the audio, so there's really nothing to look at, but it's kind of interesting. And I'll stop it along the way so we can talk about what's going on here. Has anyone heard this yet? Nope? Okay, cool. You might recognize some voices.
Battalion 10, Engine 74, Truck 7, confirm response. Engine 74, Truck 7, confirm response. Engine 74, confirm response.
It's B shift. It zoned out.
It was a C-shift fire with some A-shifters working on duty.
Aviation Operations Center.
Engine out 6 roll call. Engine 71, medic 71, engine 73. Engine 71. Medic 71. Engine 73. Engine 74, truck 74, engine 50. 74. Truck 74. Truck 50, engine 51, truck 7. Truck 50.
This mic is live.
Truck 7.
In the other room. Is that, do you have that?
And battalion 9.
That should be it.
Good, thanks.
Okay, so everyone's responding now.
Looks like we have a vehicle fire close to a structure. B10 and 71's on scene. We got a working fire in the apartment. I can't tell if there's a vehicle fire on the north side of the building. My man 20 is supposed to be fire attack. Okay, copy, working fire. Looks like a vehicle in the alley behind. The vehicle in the alley behind. Engine 73 is on scene. We're going to hit this vehicle fire in the back.
Okay, so what do we have going here?
Sounds like a vehicle fire.
Two separate fires.
Yeah, it turns out that we ended up with two separate fires. There's a map on the whiteboard back there, but basically the top of the board there, engine 71 was spotted on El Mirador Drive, and I came up to the corner, saw that I wasn't going to get any access that way. It wasn't going to have a good spot, and as I drove past the alley, I could see a car fire. So I flipped around, and then when I just made that radio broadcast, I was driving past the alley again, headed back over to Emerald Park, and ended up coming all the way down to the east side and entered the alley that way. And by the time I got there, engine 73 had pulled past the fire, and so my spot is there where the diagonal-looking vehicle is in the alley. I could see the car fire, I could see engine 73, but I could not see the building that Darren had seen. And I did not catch him saying working fire in the apartment. When I pulled the audio and listened to it, I was like, that's what he said. Because afterwards we had a PIA, and I said, hey, I didn't hear that. And he said, I thought I said it. Well, maybe you did. I don't know. But so we had a couple of A shifters and myself. This is a C shift fire. And I reviewed it with both of the captains prior to talking, just to make sure that they were cool with sharing this. I think it's a really good learning tool. And so we're going to listen to the rest of the audio and see if we can figure out how things progress and how it sounds to you guys. I'll ask you a few questions here in a minute.
And the 73 coordinate, 71 on front. Fire tech engine 71, waiting on center. Engine 73, battalion 10. B10, B9 on same. Copy B9. Engine 73, battalion 10. Drop this Philly by train. Engine 71, battalion 10.
Metro will talk to me.
Engine 50, battalion 10. Okay, I've got 2 engines on scene that are attempting fire attack. I need search on the exposure building. Oh yeah. Searching here coming for medic 3. Fire attack, battalion 10.
Fire check.
On CML Mirador Command, there was a vehicle fire next to the structure. We're putting water on the fire. We're searching the exposure building.
Battalion 10 is on scene, El Mortar Command. Vehicle fire next to structure. What are fire searching extension in the other building?
Command, battalion 9. B9, go ahead. I'm on the backside with the vehicle fire. The structure is well protected at this point. Vehicle's just gone out. I copy. The command post is also located in the alley, and just needs to knock and talk with anybody in that structure. Command just up 4 is on the same face of the corner right now. Okay, engine 74, you can continue to stage for now. Truck 74 continues. And we be careful, truck 50, truck 7, and engine 51.
Hello. All right, so those of you that know what's going on, what do we have going right now?
Well, you have a fire that you're thinking is just a car fire. You haven't got an update from 71 to know that there's anything else.
Okay, who's on the same page with me?
B9
I'm
is.
pretending I wasn't there, so yes.
I didn't hear it.
B9 was, right?
Yeah.
What did he say about the structure?
Well said.
It's well
Structure is well protected. So guys, just we're listening to a fire that I had in on a C shift day, and myself, I was working overtime. We had Darren Anir on engine 71 working overtime, and Mark Rakucci on engine 73 on overtime. So we went to a vehicle fire next to a structure on El Mirador, and we're there. Engine 71 reported working fire in the apartment. I had seen the vehicle fire, so I was assuming that that's what he was seeing too, and I didn't hear them say it in the apartment. So right now we're on scene. I think we have a vehicle fire next to a structure. That's what I can see. And Battalion 9's on scene, and he's reporting the same thing so far. So we'll listen and see where it goes from here.
Truck 74 company. Truck 74 command, assist. Engine 50 with checking that occupancy for people. Command engine 50. Go ahead, 50. Search of the two side units all clear. There is light smoke in here. We're checking the attic for extension. There is some scorching to the exterior sill. Okay, copy that. All clear on the occupancy. Check for extension. So engine 50, truck 74. You guys both have the structure. Make sure there's no extension. Command Battalion 9. Go ahead. Do you have anybody upstairs yet?
Huh?
Engine 50 and truck 74 assigned to search the exposure occupancy and check for extension. Yeah, we got guys taking a line upstairs. Appears to be a fire upstairs on the second floor. Okay, which unit's taking a line upstairs?
Probably that one.
Engine 71's going to take a line upstairs on the primary structure. Okay, copy that, engine 71. So engine 71, engine 50, truck 74, you guys have, you're assigned to the structure. Engine 50. Still 50. Got smoke in the attic vent showing from right now the AB corner as well as the C corner. They got box eaves on the C side. We're opening up the eaves. I need a vent fan and chainsaw to the second floor Charlie side. Copy, truck 74 command. Truck 74. Got a fan and saw with you. All the way. Copy.
Okay, where are we at now?
We got something going on in the structure.
Yeah. If you look at this list right here, is there anything on this list that could have assisted in situational awareness? Okay. Maybe a little bit different size up. Identify the object, its condition, your actions, and your needs. And okay, so let's say he gave a size up, working fire. Anything else on the list that could have helped? If you can see the list.
Well, if 71 would have said where they were making entry, that would have clued everybody in. Oh, there's something on that other side. He just said they were taking fire attack.
Yeah. So, everything's going on and pulling hose and all that kind of stuff. If you pause to give that entry report before you go into the IDLH, then that's telling everybody, hey, we're going in. Oh, what are they going into? Because prior to Battalion 9 discovering the fire in the building, if Engine 71 would have called a mayday, what do you think I would have assumed?
Somebody was trapped in that car fire.
Could be, or they fell down on the grass, I mean, they're between the building. I don't know. So I think that hopefully what we're going to get out of listening to this call, we're going to finish listening to it here, is that some of these concepts right here can be very helpful, especially if you don't have a good situational awareness. And I walked away from this fire feeling that it was the worst fire I've ever commanded. I really walked away defeated from this deal. So that's why I pulled the tapes. I wanted to hear it, and then I want to learn from it. So we're going to continue and see where it goes from here. You can tell, though, you'll find out that I'm now, light years behind this fire, and I'm trying to catch up.
Command to say 9. Go ahead. Can you give me one more engine company over here to the primary structure? I gotta sign it for them. Engine 7-4, command. 7-4, copy. To the left, meet with battalion 9. Head to the alpha side, which is the side where engine 71 is parked on El Mirador. Report to the alpha side. 4 copies, meet B9, alpha side. 7-4, battalion 9, bring a 24-foot ladder, the hand tool, or put you in a few windows up there on the second floor. Command engine 5-1. 5-1, go ahead. We've recommitted ourselves, we're staged. Cuffed up his up. P9, 50. Good. Yeah, I'm getting going smoke in the attic on this side. Recommend somebody to the roof. Yeah, I'm putting guys up there now. Can I know where to go, command? Go ahead. Okay, engine 50 gave me an all clear as far as people inside both departments. I want to confirm we have primary all clear on both departments.
How many are there?
Okay, give me a second.
Both 2?
What's that?
Both 2?
It's actually a fourplex.
7-4 up in the
Both.
Bravo second story windows to assist with that search. Fire dispatch truck, I'm going to recommit it to the detail call, police station.
Tower Jet 50, are you on T?
Power station.
Copy stage.
And battalion 9 from command. Probably a fourplex, and so we need to make sure we're hitting all the doors. Copy, engine 7-1, battalion 9, 7-1. Battalion 9, confirming primary search clear, second floor. Primary is clear on second floor. Primary clear on second floor. Okay, 7-1, battalion 9, hold the ceiling and check for attic fire. Just no 4 minutes. Emergency activation, give me a bar. I copy, just FYI, somebody tripped their emergency signal.
These two transmissions are out of whack, so now you'll hear why I had to say that.
Truck 70, what time can I run?
Dispatch freaks out. They don't like that sound.
Mirador Command, Fire Dispatch.
El Mirador Command.
Emergency activation from truck 74 on A6.
Copy, I'll check.
Everything check.
Alright, back to truck 74 is okay. Transmission from El Mirador Command.
Copy, El Mirador Command, accidental.
Command in 33, we're done with our assignment. Do you have another?
Last unit repeat.
Engine 73.
Are you complete, sir?
Assignment complete, just waiting for another assignment.
Okay, take your personnel to the office side, meet with Battalion 9 for assignment.
Copy, office side with cyanide.
Command Battalion 9. Go ahead.
We have a 7-4, conduct a secondary search on the entire building.
Command copies, truck 74 doing a secondary on the entire.
Okay, so what kind of a building was it?
Two-story complex.
Okay.
Great quad.
Yep, and they're called McEwen's. Name of the builder. We've got them on El Mirador. There's some in Galt. They're all over Sacramento, so they're kind of a unique building. But for this scenario, how long did it take us to get a secondary search on a multifamily dwelling? Took a while, right? I mean, that was the last transmission that I played for you there. Is we finally got around to, finishing this thing off, and I had got out and I went to the building and I was blown away that Delta side apartment was burned from bottom to top. So it was a really good firefight. The guys kept it inside the box that it started in, put the fire out. Very, very efficient in that manner. But the communications, were the challenge. So I hope that when we look at this list and we pick out a few things that we could have seen that, had we done some of the things that we would like to practice, then everyone would have been on the same page and a little bit earlier on in the fire. So comments or thoughts?
Did 71 have their own water supply right there?
I guess they did. I think they grabbed a hydrant. But I didn't even know where the medic was. But the medic was backing them up. Let's see, what else?
Did it get into the attic?
No, they really kept it inside the box. So there wasn't, there was smoke, but the fire didn't get through there. It was an arson fire. The car fire and the house fire had nothing to do with each other, except for the fact that they were both burned at the same time. So I'm assuming that Mickey the arsonist lit both fires. So we really got, at least I did, I got sucked into that vehicle on fire. I could not physically see the apartment from where I was parked. So, you say, oh, you should be able to turn your back on a fire and do incident command. Well, if it's the King fire, it's like, yeah, I don't have to look at that. I can look over here and be incident commander on the King fire. But if you're trying to, make decisions based on a structure fire, kind of got to see it. And I couldn't see it. I could see the car fire. I could see engine 73. I could see the column of smoke bending over onto that Charlie side of the structure, and that's why I wanted it to be, checked for extension. But even Battalion 9, what was Battalion 9's assignment?
Upper
operations?
I mean, that's basically what he was doing, but I never assigned him that. I don't assign a second BC on a car fire. I just don't do that. So it's like, you know, later on it, you know, dawned on me that I probably should have given him an assignment. So there, you know, and there were some tactical things that we were not on the same page with Metro and us. But I really think the firefight went well. So it's, you know, hopefully the command and control stuff we can work on and we can get better. We would never find ourselves in a situation like this, you know. So good learning tool, and I think it, you know, it's a good one to run through your brain here. Okay, so let's move along. Who's the primary training officer?
Company officer.
Mark Ricucci, right? The captain, the one that wears the red hats. So the point is, the organization puts supervisors in the fire stations to do a lot of stuff, but one of them is to prepare their companies to be very efficient and effective on the emergency scene. The department is not going to spoon feed you everything you need to know to be a firefighter, an engineer, a captain, battalion chief. You've got to take responsibility for that. So company officers, prepare your folks, and then you firefighters need to take responsibility for your own training and education and always be a student of our profession. Okay, so every day needs to be a training day. Right now, what's the primary function of our training division?
Academy.
Running an academy, right? They're not doing a whole lot for the line right now. They're going to make sure that we're checking all the boxes on mandatory training, but they're not bringing us down and wearing out their turnouts and their helmets teaching us right now. So we need to be responsible for that and always be a student. So what do we have to lean on? What's the top line on this slide? The table of contents for the field operations guide. What's field operations guide number 001.00? Okay, risk philosophy, right? So in module 1 we covered risk philosophy, that we will risk a lot to save a lot, right? So when I say a lot, I'm talking about lives. We'll put it out there in a calculated way to save somebody that can be saved. Property, we throttle it way back for property fires. Okay, so, but can we eliminate all risk at a property fire? No, we cannot eliminate all risk, so it's still risky, but we will make the calculation much more slowly, and we'll make sure that whatever risk we're assuming is worth what we're dealing with, okay, because it's just property. We try to save property when we can, but if the house burns down, they're going to rebuild it. So, and they probably won't put a plaque on the new house with your name on it if you get hurt there. So we have the risk philosophy. We have SOPs and SOGs that guide us. Do you think these are all up to date? No. What do you do if you find one that's not up to date?
Change the page. Give it to a
Yeah, flip it over to the next page. See if the next one's up to date. You know, the two big chiefs aren't thinking about this on a daily basis. They are working on other things. So if one of these SOPs falls out of currency, you know, and we notice it, we need to push it up the chain. Okay, so that means you can bring it forward. So if there's something that you find that's not up to date, or you'd like to change a procedure, something like that, then you need to be the champion of that cause, okay? And so there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can run it up the chain of command, provide solutions, not just identifying the problems. And then you can also bring things to an operations meeting, those every other month ones that everyone's invited to. We had a couple of guys recently, you know, come to me and say, "Hey, we want these new tools, and we want to change our cutoff saws." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to write that paper for you. You write it. You know, bring me the document, bring me the supporting evidence, and then let's take it to the operations committee." Okay, so if you find things that need to be changed, or you want to change things, go for it. You know, Be a champion of the cause. Also be prepared for what I call the 2-year rule. Anybody know what the 2-year rule is? Kevin knows.
Takes 2 years to get used to it.
It takes 2. Well, that's good. That's good. So that's the 4-year rule. That's the 4-year rule, because it takes 2 years for your good idea to become someone else's good idea, and then you get to sit back and watch it be implemented. So as long as you're not, you don't need to take credit for everything, then you can at least be satisfied that 2 years after you brought up a great idea, you're going to see it happen. Okay, so that's the 2-year rule. All right, so we have these county SOGs. Are these applied 100% the same across the board? No, absolutely not. Okay, absolutely not. When these first started rolling, one of the biggest arguments was, do we call it a procedure or a guideline? And they arm wrestled over that because city didn't want to be boxed in. Okay, so it's a guideline. It's a suggestion. So we operate a little bit differently than some of the other departments. Sacramento City will tell you flat out, we do not assign RIC on a first alarm. Okay, all right. So when you go up there, anticipate not getting the RIC assignment on a first alarm. Okay. I still think that it's important enough, and we've added the 3rd engine, and then we added the 4th engine, and on commercials we've added the 5th engine for the purpose of RIC. So right now, if we go to an S3 residential structure fire, we're getting 4 engines, 2 trucks, 2 battalion chiefs, and a medic unit. Our old first alarm used to be what we called a 2-in-1, 2 engines and a truck. So our first alarms are getting basically second alarms. Okay, so with that many resources on a house fire, I'm very comfortable that I can assign RIC and have enough people to fight the fire. So it's just a matter of interpretation there. But having these county SOGs actually puts us light years ahead of other areas. Okay, so we've been talking with Lodi about some mutual aid down there. And mutual aid is a foreign concept in parts of San Joaquin County. Not mutual aid, I need a strike team is a foreign concept, but I need an engine just to cover my battalion. Woodbridge will drive all the way through the city of Lodi to go to a call on the other side of town, and they do it a lot. So having our boundary drops and mutual aid, having these SOGs, we are ahead of a lot of areas. So just having them is a good thing. So why are we doing this training? Remember the NIOSH 5? So I throw inadequate in front of each one of these. So inadequate risk assessment. What is a synonym for risk assessment? What's the term that we use all the time? That is our risk assessment process. Size up, right? Size up. Size up. So inadequate size up. We didn't take the time to really figure out what's going on here. Inadequate incident command. Okay. El Mirador command. Inadequate. Building's on fire. I don't think it's on fire. Or nobody takes command. Nobody coordinates the effort, and we're all just taking independent action. Okay. Non-coordinated. That could be a problem. Inadequate accountability. We want to practice proactive or active accountability, and that's why we want to do the entry reports. And we want to update once in a while with a CAN report followed by a PAR. And when we come out, we want to know that you came out safe with all the people you went in with. So active accountability. Communications, is that ever a challenge? Usually when we talk about PIA, there's something we can talk about communication-wise. And I don't think this training will eliminate that, but it can improve it. Okay, it can improve it if we're all speaking the same language. And the standard procedures, we talked about that. We have good standard procedures. They may not be applied 100% the same way across the board, but for the most part, we're all well trained and we know what to do when we get up on scene of a fire. So like I said, at El Mirador, the firefighting was great. The firefighting was great. What we need to work on is the command and control. And I mean, you can say, well, hey, the fire went out. And no one got hurt, right? Well, Darren got a burn, so. But I think we can make it, the incident commander should not turn away half of the first alarm because he thinks the fire's going out. But that's what I did. All right, so you're going to see this slide again. This is the takeaway. This is the meat and potatoes. So I sent the PowerPoints out via email. So you should have this in your email. And this slide right here are the action items that we want to work on. So we want to be good at size up and risk assessment, giving our initial arrival reports following IOCAN, initiating a tactical pause when we need it. When do we need a tactical pause?
We needed to figure out what we need.
You don't know exactly what your actions and your needs are going to be yet, right? But you need a little bit more time to size it up. So you can initiate that tactical pause by saying unit stand by, or what else can you say? Level 1 stage, okay? And then you hop out, you take your lap, you finish your risk assessment process. Then you come back, you declare your strategy. You tell us what you got, you give us an update. Declaring the alpha side. We talked about in Module 1, residential structure fires. It's usually obvious what the alpha side is. Not always, but usually. But if we get used to saying, this is the alpha side, this is the alpha side, on those when it's obvious, then when we go to the non-obvious, which multifamily dwellings are going to be less obvious, then you can say, I don't know where the street is, but here's where I am. This is the alpha side. I'm going in right here. Okay, so declaring that. Giving that entry report, active accountability, updates through CAN reports. What are some of the benchmarks we talked about? When might you want to give a CAN report, a benchmark that, hey, the chief might want to know this?
Anytime you have a change in whatever the condition, well, I mean, it's CAN report, but
Yeah.
you know, anytime you have an encounter a change.
Yeah, change. Change for the positive, change for the negative. Knocking down the fire. What if you're searching? Primary complete. Or what else could you report?
Rescue,
Say-
located the victim or
Yeah.
a victim or rescue.
We found somebody, right? We're coming out. Okay. So what about some benchmarks as a crew? Some important things as a crew.
Air requires half.
Air, right? So if you go in and you got 2 green lights on the heads-up display, air is full, you gave me your entry report. When those green turn to orange, okay, that might be a good indication, a good time to tell the chief, hey, we're par of 2, air's half. Oh, air's half. Who's in there? There's only 2 in there. Okay, I need some more people. And then I get to move my chess pieces and get them ready to take your place when you're coming out, okay? So we talked about going in. If you're going to give me a report going in, you're going to give me one coming out. And then when you get a task complete, whether it was assigned or something different, like if you did the utilities, right? Wasn't necessarily an assignment, but you walked by and thought, let's shut off these utilities, okay? You throw that out there, you give us that report, then everybody knows that those things are secure. And the incident commander can check it. So you'll see this slide again here in the near future. So the question we have to ask is, what is a multifamily dwelling?